So you want to buy the MacBook Pro 14 and you've seen hundreds of videos of people saying just how incredible this laptop is. Well, today I'm going to be giving you an unbiased and honest review of my MacBook Pro 14-inch with the M1 Pro processor. This one is the completely unbinned version with 1 terabyte of storage that I bought it with. So this is pretty much the mid to higher end pack, if you want to put it that way, of the MacBooks that you would buy. Now, this does not have 32 gigs of RAM. This does just have the 16, and I'll get into a couple reasons for that in a minute. But at the end of the day, this is honestly probably the package that the majority of people are going to buy when they go with the MacBook Pro 14. So without further ado, let's get into the review. So Apple has done a really good job with doing a lot of things in the background, and that's something that I actually didn't really experience nor play too much with on my PC, and that is memory. Now, if you pay attention on the little bottom bar, or the dock I believe is what Apple likes to call it, you'll notice that when you open a program, for example, or an application or whatever you have it, you're going to see a little dot on the bottom of the screen. Now, what happens when you click off of that program? That little dot stays there, and that's actually really, really important, because essentially, from what I understand, that is Apple keeping these processes running in the background. So when you fire it up, it's instantaneous. So if you were to close this off, for example, you're not technically exiting or quitting the program. If you want to do that, you're going to have to double click and then press the quit button, and only when you see that little dot gone is when you know that the application is completely off. Now, speaking of opening applications and running them, this is a really good opportunity to let you guys know just how quick or how slow it takes for something to open up. We'll go on Adobe and we'll open up Illustrator. And we'll give it a sec here to open up. So, not too bad. What about Photoshop? Let's fire up Photoshop and see how long it takes. Okay, so not too bad at the end of the day. So the speed of opening the apps is quite nice. Some of them do take a little bit longer to open up, so bear that in mind. Let's look at Microsoft Word, for example. So it does take some time. And then if we practice that theory again, the moment you open up the program with the little background process still running, it fires up instantly. So just something that you want to consider. All right, now that said, there are some bugs with the MacBook Pro that I've noticed, in particular with certain programs that you're using. Windows, or Microsoft programs rather, do sometimes show some bugs or a lack of optimization with Apple. To give you an example here, if I'm just scrolling on the scroll bar, as you can tell, that should be a pointer and not the actual type tool that we see here. Not a big bug, but it's a bug nonetheless, because if I were to move the scroll bar there, it's moving it with the type icon, which is really not what's supposed to happen. Now, speaking of optimization, I kind of want to stay on this topic just for a little bit, because there are certain programs that do not seem that well optimized for this laptop. And this is an example of just one of them. Okay, so we've fired up Premiere Pro, and what I have done is I have downloaded all of the content from the SD card onto the actual computer. I noticed that if you just try and edit content that's just on the SD card without actually transferring it onto your computer, Adobe Premiere Pro is extremely poor in its performance, and in some points it's actually even unusable when it comes to editing your content. So make sure you have it downloaded as I have here. Now let's just drag and drop this piece here, and let's see how well it scrubs through. So not bad. Just don't really like about it. 5 reasons why in particular. So as you can tell, pretty decent. When it comes to the scrubbing though, there definitely is that delay with the video and the audio. So something to keep in mind. Some of the videos online definitely showed the playback being extremely fast. Now, this could go down to maybe what my power settings are, although I did not touch that. And it maybe could be what this is actually rendering as, maybe if it's 1080p or 4K. Regardless, it is definitely usable when you... Okay, so there was a little delay there.
Title is not clickbait.
It's a little choppy, as you could tell.
A reason.
But overall, not bad at all. Let's go here and let's just pop that in to there. Okay, so let's see how that changes things. And as you could tell, right now,
so
it is extremely choppy.
Where everyone else is at relative to myself, especially.
That right there is barely usable. And all I added was just a simple effect that I popped into the timeline here. So bear that in mind if you are primarily a Premiere Pro user. It doesn't seem like it's optimized the best for this computer. Maybe that'll come with time and updates, but as it stands right now, I find there are better programs, especially Final Cut Pro, that work substantially better with the MacBook Pro 14. Okay, so we're on DaVinci Resolve now. So let's take a look at the scrubbing here. Nothing's been done. I haven't done any tweaks or modifications. Let's see how the playback is. That right there is a huge difference compared to what we saw with Premiere Pro. It's just so much faster, and there's absolutely no delay, no lag. It is extremely smooth. And if you play here,
I strongly believe that I have a lot. Leave it down below. I will not get offended by it.
Let's say if we add this effect here, and let's see how that changes things. All right, so now we're starting to see, again, it breaking up a little bit here. Okay, so I cut the clip down because it was taking way too long to render, so this is a very short clip now. Let's see the improvements or lack thereof after rendering this little clip. Okay, so not bad. Let's play from here.
The last couple of months. And let me kind of break down why that's the case. Number one,
that right there isn't really that much of an improvement. And if you're having to deal with that on a constant basis, that'll be rather frustrating. So that's the one thing that lots of review videos haven't really showed you guys who are looking to get some information and just an overall review of the MacBook Pro. Okay, so how's the battery life been on the MacBook Pro? I will report to you that the battery life is as good as they make it seem. As you can tell, nothing has really been changed. I believe this is exactly what the battery options come with straight from the get-go. But in all honesty, the battery consumption on this MacBook Pro is honestly really impressive. The only programs I've seen kind of taking a little bit of juice from it would be programs that are pretty CPU or GPU intensive. So for example, any Adobe program like Illustrator or Photoshop does tend to suck the juice out of this guy pretty quickly. That said, this trackpad is absolutely incredible. It's the best one that I've ever used on a laptop, and the gesture controls are really cool too. So if you can always play with this, but if you slide with your gesture controls, you can check various things, and all of this is customizable too, which is quite nice. if you have multiple windows open, if you have 3 fingers here, and I hope you do, because that'd be pretty difficult if you only had one, you slide up with your 3 fingers, and then it actually shows you all of the apps that would be available. And that's literally as simple as sliding up and sliding down. So the gesture control is incredible on these MacBooks, and it makes life a ton easier when you don't really have a mouse to use with your laptop. So gesture control is incredible. The screen is as fantastic as everyone says it is. Absolutely beautiful. I just wish it was a little bit bigger. 15, in my opinion, would have been absolutely a perfect spot. The 16 was just a little too big, but overall, the screen is fantastic. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time going through some of the crazy things you can do with Apple, because there are tons of videos that are doing just that. But I just wanted to let you guys know that there are going to be some things you're going to run into. There are some bugs on this Apple that are still there, and I would imagine with software upgrades, they're going to iron out some of those bugs and issues. But ultimately, it's been really, really solid. Aside from a couple things that I've noticed with certain programs or applications that don't seem to be that well optimized for the Apple platform, it does seem to be getting better as the days go on. So I would imagine, again, that's just going to come with software upgrades and whatnot. But overall, do I recommend this laptop for you guys to buy? I think so. It's an excellent tool. The build quality of this thing is absolutely fantastic. You can tell that this is an expensive machine because Apple did do a really good job with constructing it. You can just tell it's a very well-built product, and you're not going to be disappointed with it. But one thing I would consider at this point is don't go too crazy with speccing the crap out of your MacBook and future-proofing it, because in reality, you cannot future-proof any sort of technology, especially with computers. Innovation is a real thing, and things just get better year after year. All right, guys, I hope this video was helpful. My intention is not to bash MacBooks or anything like that. This is a very, very good laptop, and I strongly recommend it, and I'm very happy with my purchase. If there's anything that I missed, also, please leave it in the comment section below, because I'm not an expert with Apple products, but I am starting to learn them and get used to them quite a bit. So it's a journey, it's a process, but it's one that feels quite good. Also, if there are any improvements or cool things that you want people to know about, please let us know down below as well. And because this is the very first video I've made on this channel, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing, because this is going to be pretty much a technology channel, a vlogging channel, a channel where we have a lot of fun at. If, however, you like cars and a lot of car content, you can see my other YouTube channel down below, Izzy's Autos, where it's pretty much all automotive content. So please check that out if that's something that would interest you. Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.